High Level is a full CRM and marketing platform, and I've used some of the best in the SaaS industry. And we are live from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. It's Reveting's Wednesday. Welcome to Reveting, Revenue Party people. I said welcome to Reveting. Well, welcome to Wednesday, Revenue Party people. We've got our hot topics and our hot guests, so I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. But you know I got to plug Cherry Assistant first because I couldn't do this show without them. And I couldn't run my entire business without them. Cherry Assistant, they have you set with your next virtual assistant. So they basically collect information from you about your need and your requirement for whatever job or task you have. And then they go out and find an individual in your time zone that will work with you on that task. So it's been the only way I've been able to scale my marketing agency. They help with video editing for me, as well as preparing. We've got Layla here in the background. She's producing the show, helping with comment moderation, which, by the way, if you're here tuning in, let us know, where are you tuning in from? What's up today? We're talking about culinary storytelling along with some other sales and marketing topics. So I'm not going to waste too much time, but if you scan this QR code, it's going to take you over to Cherry Assistant's website. You can check them out. You'll see an ad at the intermission where we'll give you a little more information about Cherry Assistant and how they're helping businesses scale. So you can work with really talented people overseas to help you scale your business. And that's what Cherry Assistant is doing. That's what they're helping me do. So check them out. But then also, I want to encourage you to sign up for High Level. If you've been here before, you've heard me talk about High Level. So High Level is a full CRM and marketing automation platform. Right now, I'm white labeling it myself. So I have app.reveting.com. And then we have multiple sub-accounts where we have our customers. So then our team is able to go in and give them full support, create unlimited landing pages for them, build their funnels for them. So if that's something you need, we can absolutely do it for you. But we are also encouraging businesses to go sign up for it themselves. I've put my affiliate link up on here for a 30-day free trial if you're interested. But yeah, just try it out. And if you do sign up for the free trial, reach out because it's in my best interest to make sure it works for you. Here's the best part. It's only $97 a month. So we don't need to go in and talk about these big SaaS players charging businesses 5 figures a year plus. And we're moving people away from those platforms and onto High Level or onto app.reveting.com. And we want to be able to help you do the same. So if you're interested, just start by scanning that QR code. Or if you're listening on podcast, go to reveting.com/high level to get the 30-day free trial. And of course, you can always email me at jessie@reveting.com or DM me on LinkedIn. But I digress. That's enough about that. I want to introduce you to our amazing guest, which I think this is for the first time ever. We've got one driving. Something's coming up. So we're just excited that he's here. He's safe and he's just tuning in with audio only. But Welcome to the show, Matthew Beaudin and Stephany Kaufman. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yes, glad to have you both here. So, as we always do in good old fashioned Wednesday style, please introduce yourself in 2 minutes. I'll put up the clock, but we want to know the full story and the stuff we can't find on LinkedIn. So, we want to know like where you were born and what brought you to now and all the in between of your resume that, AI can't write. And since you're in the car, I'm going to pick on you and ask you to go first, Matthew. Time is on.
All right. Well, good morning. Thanks so much for having me on here. Um, I have quite the story, and I'm going to do my best to fit it into 2 minutes. But I was originally born in Lincoln, New Hampshire, which is this little sleepy town. It's a ski town up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And so if you fly into Boston, it's a good 2 hour drive straight up into the mountains. And it's probably one of the most beautiful places on earth. And so I had a hard place to beat coming out of the gate. Um, Going into high school, I ended up in Concord, New Hampshire, and it was a huge city, like huge change for me. I was a small town kid, and I kind of saw that like there was a big world out there, and I could do something a little different. That being said, I was the trouble kid, and I was like bottom of my class out of 500 kids, never gonna make it. I was in this jobs for after school graduates program. Like you'd be lucky if you can find a job. Like nobody's interested. And so I found a tech school that would take me for culinary because I was always getting suspended in high school because I would leave early or I wouldn't show up for school because I'd go work in this restaurant because I had to get prep done for the nighttime. And I was like, I'd rather go in and prep now and skip school so I'm good later. And so the restaurant really had my heart from a young age. My mother was a waitress and I'd go to work with her, and she was just so passionate about what she did, and it was such a cool industry, and it felt like such a close-knit family to me. It really just kind of pulled me in from a young age. And so I went to the New Hampshire Community Technical College of Berlin for my first year of college so I could kind of get my grades up and focus. Ended up on a culinary competition team, and I was like, this is really cool. Like this is much bigger than just flipping eggs. Like I can do something. And so I applied to the Culinary Institute of America thinking I would never get in because it was so out of my league. And lo and behold, I got in. And so I kind of set my sights from that point on to always doing the best and being the best and kind of making a difference in this world through food because I realized that they would listen to me and I could do something with it. And even when I was at my very bottom, it was there for me. And so I could give that back to people and I could be there for people in that way too. And so I set out to kind of travel the world and to see the world through food, and I've been doing that ever since. I lived in Hong Kong for a while, Saint Martin, and Africa. I think I really kind of found my way from a sustainability point in Africa because before that it was always about like how do you get stuff from far away, right? Like I'd say 10, 15, 20 years ago it was like, hey, this olive oil came from Italy, and like that was really cool. And then it was how far away made it special. And so what I realized when I lived in Rwanda is how close it came from is what made it special. And I grow all these vegetables in my garden, and I was living on the side of a volcano, and everybody's latrine is outside. It's like a hole in the ground, so it would flood, and I'd come out in the morning, and I'd have everybody's toilet and my produce, and it was all trash. And so you realize that sustainability is not necessarily just about how unique or how protected it is. It's also like, where does my next meal come from? Where does my next cup of water come from? And sustainability is this full circle experience. Fast forward, I ended up at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, where sustainability, I kind of found my people. And I think that, similar to my journey in life, high school and college, high school, I got picked on and I was that kid. In college, I found my people and everyone spoke the same language and loved what I loved and was passionate about what I was passionate about. It kind of worked that way in my career. I bounced around, found what I found. I was kind of lost in the beginning. And then I found the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and sustainability was kind of where my heart was. And I realized I could make a difference and do something really special. So here
That's
I am today.
the Monterey Aquarium is a really special place. If anyone hasn't been there, you should definitely try. But we're honored to have you here and to have someone with that experience. I was telling them pre-show I usually talk sales and marketing, but of course on Sundays I do a meal prep video that I post on LinkedIn because, yeah, I'm a little bit of a foodie myself too. I feel like we need to focus on more high vibrational foods. And so I really try to work with foods from the earth. I used to grow food when I lived in California, but now I live in Ohio, so it's much harder. So I just go to the grocery store. But yeah, I mean, you can still do and eat. Even in Ohio, there's not a lot of vegan restaurants here, but I maintained a vegan diet now. We bought a half a cow, so we didn't hunt the cow, but we did try to like source a decent, hunk of meat. And so I started eating beef again, and then fish worked its way into my diet. But I digress. This is not about food. I want to know everyone else in the comments, like, talk to us about food. What do you eat? What are your favorite foods? And go search Matthew on LinkedIn and check out some of his background. And then when you do, also switch over to Stephany. And Stephany, I'm going to put up the 2-minute clock. Could you do the same and fill us in on your full life story from birth to what brought you to now?
All right, will do. So I'm going to start with this because, you say what's not on your LinkedIn profile. And I'll actually say this is probably something that even my own boyfriend and maybe some of my family, if they know, they probably don't even remember. But the reason why I full circle realized that I've always meant to be in marketing is because I remember this was probably 1999, I was in 3rd grade. And on my own volition, I decided to go around to every student in my 3rd grade class and get their email address, right? I got their email address and I started making a weekly newsletter. Well, God knows what the heck a 3rd grader wants to write about in a newsletter. I will say I do remember getting in trouble for it because I probably was writing about gossip about this person likes this person, neither here nor there. Yeah, I was spilling the tea. But anyway, fast forward, I went to college. I graduated from UConn in journalism from Connecticut. Graduated and wasn't really sure what direction to go in. I knew journalism was not the direction I necessarily wanted to pursue. Ended up moving to the city, working in executive recruiting for accounting and finance. Thought it was boring as hell. Then I transitioned into sales, ended up working selling recruitment advertising to recruiters at Indeed. Did that for a couple of years. Then I decided, I was in my early 20s. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I want to go travel the world. So I got rid of my apartment in Brooklyn. I sold all my stuff and I left with a backpack. And before I did, I see there's 15 seconds left. He got a little bit more, so I'm going to keep it going for just another minute. So anyway, so basically, I decided to go hit the road. And before I did, I started a travel blog. Now, this travel blog is the upbeatpath.com. It still exists. It's a relic. But anyway, long story short, started that travel blog, ended up learning everything that there is to know about content marketing and about promoting my blog. And ultimately, it ended up gaining some traction through SEO, through social media marketing, and clients ended up starting to come to me. So there were, like travel agencies and tour agencies and, travel related brands. They started to come to me to either partner with me or for me to help them with marketing. So that's what started me on my journey. Now, fast forward again. It's 2020. I was teaching English at this point in Vietnam, doing some freelance work in marketing. And then COVID hit, ended up back in America. And I was like, well, it's kind of like the meme where the whole world's on fire with the dog. And it's like, I'm going to go get my master's degree. So I decided to go do that. Went and got my master's in digital marketing and media. Had a great experience. Worked as a marketing manager for a while. Then I was doing some more freelance work, which leads me to today. I now have a marketing agency called UPBEAT. We officially launched in November, and it has been quite a journey. But not everyone knows this, and I definitely need to refine this in my brand story. But that is why UPBEAT is called UPBEAT, because I started with the upbeatpath.com, and that path is where it got me to where I'm at today. So, yeah.
I love that. Well, I feel like, I don't know, is something going on with our clock or did it just go by?
It keeps resetting.
Okay. Because I was like, well, you were only at 1:15 when you first said that it ran out of time. And then, but anyway, I digress. I appreciate, it felt like 2 minutes. If it was more or less. But
yeah, Matthew's story was great. So I was like, keep it going. Don't cut him off. Like, I really want to hear
don't
this.
discredit your story, because I love how you just said, you know what, F it, I'm gonna just leave everything, sell everything, and I'm gonna go. And you've like gone out and you like lived your life and you found out what you wanted to do. And I just really honor you for that. So let's get into our first topic that you're kicking off, Stephany, which is sales follow-up, persistent or pushy. I know where I am on this one, but could you tell everybody where you are?
So not pushy, persistent. Okay. So really, I mean, let's just start by talking about what the difference is. Okay. It really is a fine line. And I think that's why a lot of sales reps, right? Sales leaders, whatever it might be, are really afraid of following up. They don't want to be annoying. I get it. No one wants to be annoying. Well, maybe not everyone, but most people don't. But I will say this. So really quickly, what is the difference between persistent and pushy? What does persistent look like? Persistence is adding value, right? With every touch point. It's respecting the prospect's timeline, not just your own, and asking questions, but low pressure questions, right? So for example, if you're sending a follow-up email, hey, would you like a quick comparison sheet? Would that help your team, right? What does pushy look like? Okay. It's oh, hey, just checking in again 6 times. All right. Boring. No one's going to read your email. They're going to delete it. It's going to go to the spam, or they're going to block you. Ignoring the silence, right? Silence speaks volumes. And making it about you instead of making it about them, instead of making it about the prospect. So key things to sort of remember there. Persistent, it's staying visible with value, whereas being pushy is to pressure them, again, to move on your timeline. So I'm going to just kind of get into it a little bit more. How do we say persistent without being pushy? Like I said, it is a fine line. So we've all definitely been there, right? We have a great meeting. We think the pitch is solid. We feel like, oh yeah, we got that one in the bag. And then there's nothing. So you're wondering, like, do I follow up tomorrow, next week? Do I even follow up at all? Again, that's the uncomfortable part of sales. But here is the thing. I'm going to throw some stats at you guys. So follow-ups are actually where most deals are either going to be won, or if done poorly or not done at all, that's where they're going to be lost. So quick stats here. 44% of sales professionals will give up after just one follow-up, okay? 92% by the 4th, right? But 80% of prospects are going to say no 5 times before they say yes. Okay. I mean, think about how much revenue is left on the table there. So essentially, like I said, it's about being persistent, but professionally persistent. You want to stay in their orbit, and you don't want to just be, but you don't want to crash into their inbox every day, and you don't want to be blowing up their phone. Another analogy, I'm just going to kind of throw this one out there.
Yeah.
It's like dating, right? Like,
of course,
a good follow-up is like kind of just, I mean, maybe not necessarily exactly this, but like, just kind of like, hey, like, if you're still interested, I'm here, but I'm out here living my life. I'm going to carry on with my life, but like, I just want you to remember, like, I'm here. I care about you. Whatever you need, I got you, right? A bad follow-up is like, why haven't you called me back? Like, what's
like
going on?
You don't ask someone to marry you on the first date. So why are you going to ask for the sale on the first call?
Exactly. And I have worked in industries, right? Like, I did work in solar for some time, and that is a very high pressure industry where, like, oh my God, if you go into like a meeting full of a bunch of solar bros, they're going to be like, yeah, you better close on that first call. If they're not at the door, if they don't sign that contract in 2 seconds, like, you lost them forever. It's like, no, you just don't know how to follow up correctly. And I almost guarantee you 50% of those are going to fall off, and they're going to decide that contract, they're going to rip it into shreds and say, no, what, never mind, because you were pushy, right? That's not how you get people through the door. You got to build trust and value.
Exactly. Trust and value, everyone. Matthew, what's your take on all of that? You like a good cold call, don't you?
I love, oh yeah. Yeah. Right to voicemail. So it's interesting to me because that stat 80% of people will say no 5 times is wild. Like I'm glad I do what I do, because I certainly value what you guys do, because I could never, if somebody doesn't answer the first time, I'm like, that, never call them back again. And so the fact that stat exists is wild to me. I think sales in general is it's kind of a little bit of everybody's job, and I think the more I've transitioned in my career into kind of storytelling, the more it's become about sales, I guess. But I also I try my best not to come off sales pitchy, and I think that's one of the things is the immediate turnoff always, right? When you're talking sales, is if it sounds like a used car salesman and it smells like a used car salesman, it's a used car salesman. So I try to do my best to not pitch people, I guess, and just more share the story. And if you're down for the ride, let's go. And if you're not, then that's totally cool.
Love it.
100% hear this, and I get faulted for this a lot, but one of my weaknesses is sales follow-up. And I'm getting, like, someone was just messaging me that I need to hold my microphone. Layla was telling me that once before too, so thank you. And anyway, so to me, it's like, if you want to do business with me, I don't really want to chase you down. I feel like you should prove to me that I should do work for you. I mean, to some degree, that's my honest perspective. And I used to get criticized because I had this landing page that would require people to listen to this 10-minute video before I even got on a sales call with them. Because it's like, well, why am I going to waste my time if, like, here I am telling you, this is what I do. This is what you'll get from it. And if you're not that person and this is not what you're looking for, then, like, why would we get on the phone together? And so I don't know. I would love to hear people in the comments. Like, if you wanted to work with someone, they sent you a 10-minute video, would you work with them? But also, it was a coaching program, so it is sort of exclusive as well. And I'm a boutique marketing agency. I can't take on, like, a whole bunch of people at once. I have to be a little bit choosy. So I think it goes both ways. And if I'm being in my feminine energy, I am going to attract and not chase. Sort of like you were talking about this being like dating related. Similar with marketing. Like, that's why I'm good at marketing, because I am trying to attract people to come to me, because I don't want to give you the pushy sales call. So that's how I avoid pushy sales calls.
I'm like, yes, girl, yes. No, it's so true though. I mean, I think that analogy about dating, it really puts it in perspective, right? Because it's like people can smell desperation from a mile away. And if you come off desperate, right? Like, if you get off that call and people are like, oh my God, I need that. Wow, this person really needs my sale. They're going to start thinking, why do they need me so bad? Like, does their product suck? Do they suck? Like, what's going on? Right. Same thing with dating. Like, if there's some guy that's just like blowing up your phone or in your DMs all the time, like, you're like, okay, like, move on to somebody else. Cause like, this is
annoying. It's too
yeah,
much. Yeah.
Too much.
Like, thank you for your offer, but no, thank you. Anyway, we have some food to talk about. So I would love to move into the next topic if you're ready, Matthew. Storytelling through food, crafting experiences that connect. Could you kick us off?
Absolutely. So storytelling through food, kind of like I was saying, it has become this pivotal point for me. And I think early on in my career, it was like, hey, how do I talk about me, right? Like, how do I tell my story? How do I tell people, like, this is how great my food is. This is what I'm working on. This is where this came from. And, like, it's all about the plate and the James Beard Awards and the Michelin Guide and you name it. And so I think what I've realized is everybody has access to all the same stuff, right? And so we're in an industry where if you're buying chicken or you're buying beef or you're buying vegetables, chances are it's coming from the same place most of the time, right? Your Salinas Valley in California is your produce for most of the year. Then it migrates to Arizona, and then it migrates down to Mexico, and then it comes back as the seasons go. And so you can kind of watch your produce packages and realize where it's coming from. Your beef, it's coming from like 3 or 4 large places in the United States that own it all. Chicken, the same thing. And so I realized everyone has access to the same thing, but what they don't have access to is the story and the people. And the people are really what make it unique. And so I started dealing with local farmers and local produce and things like that, and kind of digging into building that story. And what I found is that story not only sells food, but it gives people a sense of trust, right? And when we're talking about food and sales, like trust is where it all starts. And so building that sense of trust and that sense of respect and giving people access to the real story versus like, hey, my food came in this styrofoam pack wrapped in plastic. Like we have such a sterile food system in the United States, and I do a lot of traveling. I'm very fortunate in my role to be able to craft stories for the SSA Group and to be able to find our partners. And there's not a single partner that we work with the SSA Group, and we have over 125 partnerships across the United States at cultural attractions, zoos, aquariums, and museums, namely. So conservation and sustainability are kind of pillars of who we are. And that being said, we know all of our partners, right? Whether it's a chocolate partner or a shrimp partner or salmon. Like I've been in their farms, in their operations, and they know us intimately, which is a huge piece of the storytelling. And so being able to then take that and tell their story has been amazing. Where am I at on time? Because if I'm going over again, you just gotta hop in and
No,
tell.
I'm following along. We got a comment. Brandy's saying 100% the story of the farmers and trust where food comes from. And I agree. I totally agree. And I think it's amazing. Thank you for what you're doing. And I'm glad that there are those partnerships happening. Because sometimes it feels like there's not, as like a mom in Ohio, sort of like isolated in my little bubble, it feels like there's not a lot happening. You just hear all the doom and gloom. So this type of marketing is marketing I can get down with because it's like it's a movement. It inspires me and it makes me interested in what you're doing.
I think that's what's exciting to me, right? I never knew I could make a difference as one person, and I think to step back and realize that as one human being, your voice and your choices matter. You look at programs like Seafood Watch, right? And you're like, I'm one person, but it's not just you. It's the next one person, the next one person asking the fishmonger at the grocery store, hey, where'd this fish come from? Where's the salmon from? And all of a sudden they realize that people are paying attention, people are asking questions, and so they might need to take sustainability seriously. And you say you're in Ohio, and we're at the Columbus Zoo, we're at the Cincinnati Zoo,
Right.
and we started using like 80 acres, right? I think it's a great operation out there. And they just acquired a group called Culinary, which we were working with out in Denver. And so to be so involved in the food community, I'm realizing like I never would have thought I'd work at zoos, right? I went to the Culinary Institute of America and I would have been like, yeah, I'll pass on a zoo. Like it's hot dogs and hamburgers. But we're making a difference. And if we're serving a hamburger, it's all grass fed and never frozen. And if right now we're pivoting towards like a 50-50 burger where it's 50% mushroom and 50% beef, and we're talking about carbon emissions on a different level. And so it's great to be part of those conversations.
Oh, that is so cool. Yeah. I mean, it pulls in all these different movements. It's not just one movement. It's just like a whole ecosystem or the whole circle, like we were talking about pre-show. But anyway, I'm curious, Stephany, we've been talking about food. What is your take on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I mean, it's interesting hearing you talk, Matthew, because I'm going to be talking about personal branding next, and storytelling, branding, they are so integrally linked. Um, and I also love you talking about a zoo because you're right. I would think the same thing, like, oh, it's just chicken fingers or something, But if anything, a place that's meant for people to go see animals and hopefully in a very socially responsible kind of way, right? That's non-cruel or anything like that, but to kind of go with that ethos, right? If they want to be a trusted place for people to go and visit animals and these creatures that they care about, the food should also kind of reflect that in some way. So I think that it's one of those things, you're right. I would never normally even think about it, but in hearing you talk about it, it actually does make perfect sense. And it's a really nice, refreshing thing to hear.
100%. Absolutely. Well, anything else, Matthew, before we wrap up this topic that you would want to just make sure and point out on storytelling through food and crafting experiences that connect?
I think for me it's equally as much about the guest, right? You're part of the story, and so asking questions and getting involved, and the storytelling is always part of a bigger picture, which is making a difference and making an impact from an environmentally responsible way and a socially responsible way. And so getting involved in the process and realizing that as one person you can really make a difference by just asking some questions and stepping up.
100%. I love that. Well, we have two more hot topics. So we're going to be talking about personal branding, as you just heard next, as well as simple strategies for business leaders and culinary innovation with the focus of creativity meeting sustainability in food. But first, let's hear a quick message from our friends over at Cherry Assistant, and we'll be right back.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now, he has a $50K per month business fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM and Go High Level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
Okay, so now you're seeing a menu of services that Cherry Assistant offers. So if you're hearing this on podcast later on, I'm just going to read them off for you. We've got lead generation, CRM management, prospecting assistance, sales presentation preparation, data entry and cleanup, customer support, and project management. So just scan that QR code for my affiliate link or reach out to Cherry Assistant. Let them know that you heard about them from WinsDay here on our show. And I also want to tell you about High Level. Stephany, Matthew, have you ever heard of High Level?
I was going to say, I actually use High Level. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, now since you mentioned that, I'm kind of curious about that. But Matthew, first, have you heard of High Level?
I have not. I'm pumped to hear about it.
Okay, awesome. Well, Stephany, since you use it, you want to share with everyone and how you guys use it?
Yeah. So High Level is a really great CRM, but when I say CRM, I feel like it is so much more than that, right? It is a great marketing automation tool. You know, I can do email, SMS marketing, create these awesome workflows where, you know, I can streamline automation. So that way, you know, if somebody fills out a form on my website, boom, now I have their information captured. I have them in like a certain touch point in a workflow and can, you know, immediately send them a text message as a follow-up, send them an email. And then honestly, so much more than that. It does a ton. I even do like invoicing in there. I send my contracts in there. So yeah, I'm a High Level fangirl. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm a High Level fangirl too. And yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough great things about them. And one of the big reasons, like I even started with them, because I'll be honest, I was into some of the big SaaS tools before, you know, some of the big players that we hear about a lot. I'm not going to mention them here. But I worked in SaaS. I come out of B2B SaaS. So you know the obvious ones. And when I started my own business, I was like, dang, you want $300 a month for a dedicated IP? That's ridiculous. And I'm just trying to send emails here. So I found High Level, and then not only could I create an account for myself, but I could do it for 2 other clients. And then I don't know, I digress. I could go on and on about High Level. But anyway, let's get into our third topic, which is personal branding and simple strategies for business leaders. Could you kick us off with this?
All right, let's go. Okay. So personal branding, much like talking about sales follow-ups, definitely something top of mind for me, you know, with the launch of my agency UPBEAT. So basically, I mean, first of all, let's just start with this. Why even bother with personal branding, right? So say you're a business owner. I did the same thing when I first started UPBEAT. I was pouring everything into building my business brand, right? But quickly learn that real connection, it's not really going to come necessarily from a logo or from a website. It comes from you showing up as yourself. Same thing with executives, business leaders. You don't want to hide behind your company's brand, right? People want to see the human behind the business. You know, we live in a relationship first world. One really easy way to as like a proof of this, go on LinkedIn. Tell me right now, what are the posts that are going viral and getting engagement? They're not so much, very rarely are they coming from brands. They're usually coming from individuals that, you know, they're sharing thought leadership topics. They're sharing ideas or stories or lessons. So another thing about personal branding, this is not about being an influencer, and it's not about going viral and going and dancing on TikTok. Like, unless that's your thing, go for it. It's not even about being everywhere and posting every day. It's about being intentional with what you're posting. So I'm going to try and just talk about this as quickly as possible because, I know we don't have a ton of time, but essentially, like I said, it's about being intentional with how you're showing up in the world. It's your reputation made visible, and it's really not too different from when you think about a corporate brand, right? Just like how a corporation, a company can shape how the world perceives them, we're able to do the same. You want to think about what your story is, your core values, your skill set, right? Your expertise, everything that makes you you, your personality. That's important too. You want to make sure all of that is shining through because it's what ultimately makes you you, right? Another thing that I feel like I don't hear people talk about enough is that when you're thinking of your personal brand and you're really trying to shape it, you don't want to just think about who you are today. You also want to think about who you're becoming, right? What you want to be stepping into. I'm not really saying like fake it till you make it, because you do want to be authentic, but you want to think forward. So, think about the role you want to step into, the audience that you want to be tapping into. Other things. Why does it matter? Really, because you build credibility, you build trust, you boost your visibility, right? You want to be seen in front of people. And ultimately, your personal brand, when you take the time to craft it, right, and execute it carefully. Again, this isn't about taking a ton of time. Hear me out. But it becomes your opportunity magnet. So you attract the opportunities that you want, like it could be clients, if it's a career you're launching into, if you're a leader and you want to be attracting talent, your personal brand can bring all of this in. Speaking gigs, partnerships, what have you. Now, going to try to dive into this one as very quickly as possible. Your brand strategy, right? So like I said, it's about being intentional. You want to start identifying your values, goals, purpose, ask yourself a series of questions about like who you are, what you care about, what value you provide. So essentially it's your roadmap, where you are and where you're going. And with all of that, once you have all that in place, you could create a value proposition. Essentially like just like a one sentence little blurb about who you are and what the value is that you provide. And then from there, you want to make sure you define what your audience is. Again, it's just like branding for a corporation, but it's you, right? So figure out who you want to tap into. And go take a look at your competitors. You don't have to go and reinvent the wheel, right? You don't need to recreate something completely new, but you still want it to be authentic to you. So take a look at your competitive landscape. When I say competitors, you're not competing against them, right? But look at what's working for them and what isn't and what's resonating with their audience. Use this as your roadmap, okay? And then you want to show up strategically, okay? You don't need to be on every platform. You don't need to post every day. It's just about being focused. So once you have that brand strategy sort of in place, then you pick your platforms, right? So figure out where your target audience spends their time. Also you're not trying to reinvent anything. Think about where you already have an audience, and a platform that's going to best demonstrate your value. So LinkedIn, low-hanging fruit, works for most people. But you also might want to have a personal website or a blog, or an online portfolio, somewhere to showcase your work. Some people like Twitter or X, whatever. TikTok or Instagram. A lot of people won't necessarily think of that, but if you work in a visual medium, TikTok and Instagram can be absolutely great for that. And there's so many others, but you want to you don't need to be everywhere. Even if you already are everywhere, be focused, be consistent. And yeah, I don't know where we're at with time, but if we've got a couple more minutes, I can try to breeze through.
Yeah, no, I that's all really great. Thank you for that checklist. I think people need to go back and listen to that and write notes and actually really focus on it because it's really good information. But in terms of like the channels, I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn for everyone, B2C and B2B. So I completely agree with you there. And not just like having a presence, but really actually figuring out what you want to be known for. A lot of the stuff she just talked about. And how do you get that out there, multiple times a week to stay dynamic and to stay at the top of the feed. But yeah, I mean, I'm biggest on LinkedIn, but then my next would be TikTok. So that was one you mentioned. I'm one of those people. Yeah, I'll do.
I didn't know.
I'm a TikTok dancer. I'll do the TikTok dance.
I never got into TikTok. I'm just one of those millennials that just like, it's like I ended with Instagram and I'm like, I know I'm marketing, but it's like, you know what?
I hear you.
I'm like, if it's something that a brand really needs, like I'll hire someone in that is, that absolutely kills it on TikTok. I mean, I do love the short form video content. I think it's great, right? Like the, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks. It's definitely kind of the direction that we're going in, but
yeah, definitely.
Even though I don't really go on TikTok, I'm going to have to creep.
What about you, Matthew? Are you on TikTok?
I'm not. I'm actually just LinkedIn. I think, your point, like having a personal brand and kind of understanding what your message is. I've tried them all. I'm one hell of a dancer, but TikTok doesn't do it for me. And I think that, being on LinkedIn, I found my tribe. I found my people, the people that are excited and they engage and they want something, like they hear my message and they're kind of engaged at a different level. And so I can share, I'm a passionate storyteller, I think, as you can tell. And I tend to write longer and tell more. And I feel like when you can tell the whole story, it's better. And so on LinkedIn, it's a longer format and it's more of a sit down and think platform. And so I really do appreciate that about it.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And on top of that, go ahead, Stephany. No, you.
Well, I was just going to say too, and I feel like with LinkedIn, you'll end up getting a lot of people. No offense to myself and Jesse, but people like us, where it's like we're in like sales or marketing or what have you, and it just becomes this like echo chamber of sales and marketing people. It's nice to hear that somebody that is in, the culinary industry has been able to successfully tap into that and be able to deliver something different. Like I just added you, I think yesterday on LinkedIn, and I'm going to be following your content. It'll be nice to see some food for a change and not just like people talking about the future of AI. Not like I'm not guilty of it, but
totally guilty. Totally guilty. If you want that content, just go to my newsletter, riveting.com/newsletter.
Well, same. I get it. It's like the hottest topic ever. And like it's we gotta be on top of it. But yeah.
Right. No, such a good topic. And yeah, it is good to hear when other industries are on there. I agree with that. And so thank you, Matthew. You're just like paving the way on so many
breaking barriers here. That's what we're doing.
Marketing barriers.
I found AI like 2 days ago on my phone on a WhatsApp, and I've been literally making myself into every career I've ever wanted to be in, from a pilot to like, out in the Sahara with lions. And it's eaten up a lot of my time. So I probably need to get off it.
Okay, so what is it that you're using?
It's on WhatsApp, and it's like something you can turn your face into. What's it called here? Meta AI, and I can't. I gotta stop playing.
Oh, okay. It's like the Meta Facebook.
Yeah, AI. I don't have that either, but it's on my WhatsApp. It's on my phone somehow. It popped up and said, "Do you want to put your face in?" I was like, "Not really, but I want to see. I'm curious."
Well, now I need to know.
Yeah. So now everybody in my circle has pictures of me doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's how it starts, and then the robots take over the world.
Yeah, I'm in.
Really,
let's go.
AI. It's not him.
If they can flip burgers, I'm in.
That'll be great when it can do that. But until then, can you talk to us about culinary innovation and creativity? How creativity meets sustainability in food?
Can I ever? So I you brought up an interesting point earlier about the like zoos and aquariums and museums, and you said responsibly, right, and showcasing these species, and so I think that is probably the most innovative piece for me. When you look at zoos and aquariums now, like that's what they do, right? They are showcasing them in a way that is innovative and responsible and tells the story. And I think that's the most exciting piece for me, is how do I meet that mission? How do I raise the level of food and awareness to kind of tell their story in an impactful way and connect people? Because nothing connects you to a mission more than when you put it in your mouth, right? Like, I always say people trust their chef more than they trust their doctor, because your doctor will, tell you to go work out and you'll do it. Your chef will literally put something in your mouth and you trust that it's safe and it's okay and they're doing something that's good for you. And so it's an amazing responsibility to be able to tell these stories where innovation meets sustainability and also meets conservation and meets storytelling. I think is, you know, the more I travel, I heard you say earlier, you used to teach in Vietnam, and I've spent probably the past 3 months, a total of a month in Vietnam. And so I've been kind of working with shrimp farmers down there and telling the story of the Vietnamese black mangrove shrimp, or black tiger mangrove shrimp. And so the whole story there is these shrimp are not fed anything. They are not inoculated with anything. They are in these mangrove ponds that are completely untouched, that have milkfish and mud crab and all these other species in there. And so it's this full ecosystem. And they only harvest them twice a month when the moon cycle's right. And so the mature shrimp swim out, they lift this gate up, they catch them. Sometimes they catch 2 kilos, sometimes they catch 10 kilos. And so it's truly natural. And so I've been down there working with them. And so the SSA Group is truly trying to change the whole system. What we're trying to do is kind of gain a larger market entry and kind of lower the barrier to market entry in the US for these sustainable shrimp, because Seafood Watch has gone and come up with a rating system, right? A certification system where you can now certify these farms much faster in a way that makes sense for the farmers. And so we're really trying to change the way whole system works. And it kind of goes, you said competition earlier, right? Like, for us, it's not always necessarily about the competitor. It's not about our competitors in the business. It's how do we raise the level of water for everybody and kind of bring everybody up around us. And what that does is it starts to change the world, and you can focus on dollars and cents, and every business needs to, right? That's what we're here to do. And if we don't have that, we can't continue to move forward. But if you focus on bringing everybody up with you and truly changing a system, that's where the stories are. And I think for me as a chef, in my younger years, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to be a doctor, and I was just a deviant little child. And so for me to sit back now and be surrounded by doctors and scientists and marine biologists and policymakers and be in a place where I have a voice is insane as a chef. Uh, but I think it goes to my point earlier that as one person, you can make a difference. And it's so hard to believe that it's possible. But, being here with you guys today and sharing this story is only further proof that, like, if you just keep talking and you keep pushing and you keep sharing a message that's worth hearing, people will listen.
Absolutely. We want to hear this story. This is a good story. These are the stories that people, like you said, connect with. But yeah, no, that's
You had me at Vietnam. That country is obviously very near and dear to my heart. Matthew, what region of Vietnam were you in, and where are these shrimp?
Yeah, so a majority of the work is being done in Kamau. And so
Where is now? What region
Kamau
is
is
that?
down south. So if you fly into um,
Ho Chi
Saigon,
Minh City.
Ho Chi Minh
Yeah,
City.
or
If you fly
Saigon,
in
yeah.
there, yeah, it's a 2-hour flight south. It's right down where the two oceans meet at the mouth of the Mekong, and then you drive up into the Mekong about an hour, and it is deep in the kind of jungle there, and it's the most incredible, beautiful place, the most beautiful people, and so we're trying to bring awareness to it. It's been amazing. So.
Well, I definitely want to hear more about this story. Like, we need to connect offline
For
about
sure.
this, because I love the mission that you're on, and yeah, I think it's wonderful.
And it's literally the best shrimp you've ever had in your life. Like, I think in the US, we like to taste the cocktail sauce better than shrimp because shrimp are literally rubber bands that carry sauce on them here. But we started kind of making them not put the sodium triphosphate. And so they come out of the water, get frozen, and you get this shrimp that it actually tastes like shrimp. And I can say that probably 90% of the people in the United States have never actually tasted shrimp. They've just tasted rubber band shaped like shrimp.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, and it's you can even tell a difference between like living in the Bay Area of California compared
Yeah,
to Ohio.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a cocktail sauce vehicle. That's all it is.
Definitely. Yeah, such an interesting topic. So, well, before we transition, anything you want to sum up with on culinary innovation and creativity meeting sustainability in food, Matt?
Not to beat a dead horse here, but I think just getting involved, right, and knowing you're part of a bigger picture and part of the process, and whether it comes to the story of innovation, or the story of sustainability, or story of conservation, like the guest, the diner, you are key, and without you guys coming in and requesting it or being engaged, none of it matters, right? So knowing that where you spend your dollars matters, and the questions that you ask make a difference, and that the people that you talk to, you might just inspire the next person who changes the world.
100%. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. And before we go, because we have 9 minutes left, we still have to do the guru of the week. The guru of the week. So we're going to pull it up on the screen here in good old fashioned Wednesday style. And you both get to tell us about your guru of the week. But
Oh, did we lose her?
I think we might have lost her. I think
Oh, we lost her.
well,
She was so excited too. Matthew, are you? I know you said before you were with your guru of the week. Are you with him yet?
I'm headed to him now. Yeah, so we're actually going to. He has a kind of a home farm, if you will, and he started with chickens, and now he has ducks and turkeys, and he's got bees, and so we're headed out there today. And Chef Ethan Pixler is my guy. He's been with the SSA Group. Oh, I got him on the wrong side. Look, there we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
We're talking about Ethan right now, and so that's Chef Ethan. I would say if you don't follow him, give a follow. He's the guy there with Oprah. I always tell him he uses it for cheap clicks on LinkedIn because he puts Oprah there, and everyone thinks they're liking Oprah.
Great
They don't think they're liking Chef Ethan. But he's probably one of the most innovative people in our group, and he's always pushing the boundaries. He's at the Museum of Pop Culture up in Seattle, where we really do a significant piece of our innovation and kind of our think tank. And so when it comes to catering and events and fine dining and partnerships, he really drives that train. And so if you're looking to follow somebody who is kind of on the cutting edge but also kind of has an ear to the ground of local and farmers and everything we've talked about today, he's the guy.
Well, Matthew, if that's coming from you, I definitely take your word for it, because even the stories that you shared today and all that you're talking about with food and sustainability, it's so important, like I said in the very beginning, before we kind of went live, like you were talking about, you'll eat an elk if you actually go and kill it. And I really do feel like we're just so disconnected from our food systems. And the more that there's people out there like you that are not just chefs, but are actively working to get us to be more engaged with our food and be more sustainable, especially today. Like it's so important. Food is what makes up who we are, right? It's how we live. So
Absolutely.
Great stuff. I'm going to follow him. All right. Well, I'm going to talk about Morgan. So Morgan is somebody who, so he is a founder also of a marketing agency, Dippity Digital. Him and I have, really kind of mutually come together and connected on the fact that, he started his agency at a pretty similar time that I did. We just kind of happen to be connected. I don't know, through some mutual friends on Facebook at some point. He's from Mass, I'm from Connecticut. And we got to chatting, and he's just been he is an incredible resource. He's extremely knowledgeable, especially when it comes to anything related to SaaS, SaaS, B2B SaaS. That is definitely a sweet spot for his agency. Whereas, for my agency, Upbeat, we tend to be, a little bit more characters. We could also do SaaS as well, and B2B, but more small to medium sized businesses and startups and such. But absolutely incredible resource. He has a lot of good content up on LinkedIn. So definitely go and give him a follow.
I love that. Thank you both
Oh, there
so
you
much.
are.
I'm back. Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I was just like singing.
We just rolled
and
with it, girl. We got it.
I was like, Layla, did you kick me out? She's like, no. Yeah, I don't know. I probably clicked something, but thank you so much to both of you. You knew what to do. You took it away, and I'm gonna go follow both of those people. Morgan, thank you for being here in the comments already. Congratulations to you, and also thank you to Athan. Did I say that correctly, or was it Athan?
Oh, you got it. Chef Ethan. Yeah.
Kinsler. Okay, I'm gonna go follow him because look, he's with Oprah in his picture. I mean, that's pretty boss right there.
That's what I made sure to let everybody know, that you don't get connected to Oprah through him. You know, use cheap clicks from Oprah there. I tell him all the time.
So you gotta get him on the show next and give him get the Oprah story.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he would love that.
Gotta get the Oprah story. Yeah.
You're heading to his farm, right, Matthew?
I am headed to his farm right now. Yeah, I am en route driving through the beautiful state of Washington here.
If you could let him know that he would be an awesome guest on this show, we would love to have him on, and we'll make room to get him on early if he is interested.
Awesome. Love it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we would love to have him and Morgan on. Morgan, we would love to have you on the show too. We'd love to bring gurus of the week on the show. It's always like this full circle moment because we love circles here. But anyway, we also want to hear from both of you in terms of, what exactly is it that your businesses are doing? And if there's anyone listening that could potentially work with you, how could they reach out to you if that is possibly them? Or anything else that you want to just leave the audience with? This is your moment, and we'll start with you, Stephany.
Sure. Yeah. So like I've said a few times, I am the founder of a marketing agency called UPBEAT. Our website is upbeatgrowth.com. Also, all the socials at Upbeat Growth. Also, of course, I spoke about personal branding. I am very active on LinkedIn. That is something I've definitely been putting a lot of focus into, is, trying to, not just put myself out there, but to be able to share, with my audience and educate them on all things related to small to medium-sized business marketing. With that being said, yes, I work primarily with small to medium-sized businesses all over the spectrum. So both business to business, B2C, business to consumer, what have you. But I really am passionate about working, especially with small businesses and with startup founders. I just think there's something so beautiful about, and relatable even to me, about that starry-eyed founder who has a vision, who has a dream, and for me to be able to, work directly with them and their team, and my team to be able to, make it happen. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. At Upbeat Growth, or upbeatgrowth.com.
For sharing. Yeah, we appreciate that. And how about you, Matthew? What would you like to leave the audience with, and how can they reach you?
Yeah, you can always find me on LinkedIn. That is the one and only place. And so always look for me on there. I'm sharing stories constantly of what we're working on, the innovative new things we're doing in the industry, as well as stories from my travels as well. If you're looking for something to get involved in with us, we are the SSA Group based out of Denver, Colorado. We do a multitude of things in cultural attractions, from ticketing to technology. We do full service, right, front end to back end, so that the people in the zoos and the aquariums can focus on what they're great at, which is the animals and the well-being of the animals, and creating these incredible places for people to come and learn, and for the animals to live as well. And so I think that if you're looking to be part of something a little bit bigger than yourself, and you're looking to be part of the SSA Group, from a chef to an IT professional, check us out. It's the SSAgroup.com, and Denver, again, is our group, is Service System Associates. So feel free to message me on LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both so much for coming on. You both are such just like amazing people who are doing these incredible things out there in the world and leading the way in your own little, corner of the earth. But you spent this last hour with us, so really appreciate you.
Thank you. I had a blast.
Absolutely.
And right back at you.
Good. Well, thank you, Stephany. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and we'll close us out with our regular video. But until then, before I do that, I pulled up the Guru of the Week, the wrong thing. I'm going to cover up Matthew's M and put up a couple other circles. So next week, we've got Matt Pike and Alexander Krishikov. I'm sure I'm saying that incorrectly, but we'll get the real way of how to pronounce it. He's the founder and CEO of DreamX, as well as the managing director of Fly High Media. So it's going to be another excellent episode with hot guests, but I'll close us out with the video. Drive carefully, Matthew.
I will. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be here with you guys today.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Stephany, as well. And we'll
Thank you.
catch
Take
you on the flip
care.
side. Bye-bye.
Wow.